has refused multiple interview requests with Fox 5 to answer why a CCSD police officer threw a student to the ground while others were handcuffed. This is cell phone video shot by a student.
During a joint law enforcement news conference about back-to-school safety today, Fox 5's Joe Vigil asked the CCSD police chief about officer body camera video that could shed light onto what happened.
For months now, the school district has refused to release the video while Fox 5 and the ACLU push for its release. Here is that entire exchange today.
Of course, there's going to be a lot of interactions now with schools starting between police and students. Can you explain the public benefit of police body cameras when CCSD still is refusing to release any body camera video regarding the Durango incident? So what's the public benefit if you're not going to release video from body cameras?
Okay, well, that's pretty easy. I've been a police officer since 1993, and we used to have camcorders with those little half VHS tapes. And I remember the first time that I had one in my vehicle, and not working with one before and then having one knowing it was recorded. I believe it made me better. It made me perform for the camera. It made me, I believe, more professional, and also that people could actually review it later and see how professional I was. And I believe that is the benefit from body-worn cameras for just not our agency or myself as a police officer, but every single law enforcement agency and police officer. It makes everyone better. There's nothing hidden. Some of the things that we do, obviously people aren't privy to see that or to have or to review that. And those are the protections everybody, enjoys from the law. So, but yeah, body-worn cameras are a benefit. They show what the officer's done, and it actually reduces the number of complaints that law enforcement agencies have received in the past. If you look at the numbers from prior to body-worn cameras, you'll see a reduction in the amount of complaints from citizens based on just a simple review of what the officer did.
You say that they can see what officers have done, but we haven't seen what officers did out at Durango High School. So how can you say that it's about review and seeing what officers have done, but you're blocking public access to what officers do?
Well, the public does not have access to juvenile criminal information.
But can't you redact?
Period. That's the law.
Redact that video, though? Why can't you just redact any juvenile information?
Wrapping it up?
Yeah. Okay.
All right, the focus of this was just on our school safety in the beginning of the school year. We appreciate everyone's attendance so we can help get the message out to the public. Thank you very much, and we look forward to a positive and safe start to the school year. Have a good day.
So we didn't get an answer about redacting police body camera video, basically taking out anything that identifies the juveniles. But the chief's comment about public access and juveniles led to another question, and we went to the district superintendent for an answer.
Any parent who has a son or a daughter in the district and they have an encounter with a CCSD police officer, if there's body cam video, because you're saying these are juveniles, does that mean they will never ever see any body cam video of an incident?
When you really look at the individual situations in that aspect, I mean, obviously you got to let the court speak. And we're following the law. Can they see it? That has to go through the courts and let the courts and the district attorney's office to release some of that stuff. So that's above my pay grade. But I can tell you, when you think about our kids' safety, that's something that we've taken very seriously.
Joe Vigil, Fox 5 News, Local, Las Vegas.
And we have more details about the safety measures police talked about at the news conference today. Starting on the first day of school, there will be a unified command force with all agencies to ensure constant communication. That includes Metro, CCSD, Henderson, and North Las Vegas police and city marshals. Motor traffic police will also be back to enforce school zones. CCSD police also expanding its K9 and random search program, where they will triple the number of classroom sniff searches on a daily basis. Metro Police has also shifted significant resources, including detectives and plainclothes officers on campus.